like what was a turning point for you, or you know what I mean? If we're trying to reach.
Well, I mean, Patrick's
female.
Well, you know, just Patrick being who he is, you know, I'm not gonna lie. I mean, he's had to drag me kicking and screaming through the probably first 5 years of this process, you know. But kind of the turning point for me was when I was pregnant with Barrett, and you know, we went to a parade and ended up having to park on this really shady street, and it was dark, and here I was, you know, literally like 2 or 3 days from my due date, and I had 2 small kids with me, and basically just had to go through this dark alley to get to my parking space. And I just kind of realized walking down this alley, like, oh well, if somebody jumped out here at me, you know.
It wasn't just you being pregnant. You had.
I was pregnant. I had, you know, my 2 kids. Like, I realized, you know, I was
with you.
Yeah, and I mean, and we were by myself. You know, it was dark. I mean, and I just realized in that moment, like, I had enough fear.
I think I was working, right? And I wasn't there, so it was just you by
you weren't
yourself.
there. Yeah, and Parker's float didn't get returned back to where they said it was. And so I was at this moment, I was pregnant, I had 1 kid with me, I was trying to find my other kid in this whole sea of people. And then once I did find her, you know, we had to walk down this alley to get to this back parking lot. And by the time I got there, there was nobody else there. And so for me, I had so much fear in that moment that was my turning point. I can remember coming home and being like, I never want to feel that helpless again in a situation that
I think you should back up and expound on that. And I don't think at the time you were actually carrying a gun full time, were you?
I wasn't. No, I had my concealed carry.
Because we had done it. Well, I talked to you about it, but you had not made the decision. And that's the thing; it's a personal decision. You have to make the decision that's more important to you to leave the gun with the house, or leave the gun on when you leave the house, than it is to not.
And we talk about that. Everybody goes through an evolution, and you know, even us, all 3 of us have been through that evolution. I look back to when I first started teaching concealed carry.
Yeah.
It was crap.
You almost wish you could go back and give them their money, right?
Absolutely. You know, or at least convince them to come and take more now.
Yeah.
Because it's just, that process is so much better.
But, you know, I still am not at my journey. I mean, I feel like Patrick,
nobody is.
Patrick, you know, on his journey, I mean, obviously, taking any of his classes, you know, I mean, he is prepared every waking moment, you know, that his 2 feet are on the floor. And I'm not quite there. And I think as for a woman, you know, it is more difficult to find a way to carry every day. And so I will say this though, I mean, I never leave my house without a firearm. I mean, and there's even been moments that, like, I've made it in the car and down the driveway and realized I didn't have my pistol, and I've turned around and went back home and got it. I mean,
to me, that's the biggest win I could ever have.
You know, so it does give me a sense of security, and I've had, you know, just enough training to feel like I could defend myself if I had to, you know, but, you know, I'm still, you know, my journey, I'm still on the journey. And
the fact that you even know that the journey is not over is like the biggest mind hurdle to get over, right? Like, even with Matt, Jerry, and I, the journey doesn't end. If your journey ends, you should probably quit teaching other people.
I think it kind of reminds me of that one saying is basically, the more you know, the more you realize you don't know.
Yeah, oh,
right.
Absolutely.
And that's kind of where it's like, you know, I'm getting a little bit, you know, quite frankly, a little bit stale in my regular career. And so I'm getting to the point where it's like I live where I'm working and living to do what we're doing this weekend.
Yeah.
We do what I did last weekend. You know, it's like.
But I have to say, I enjoy it, right? So, like, to me, it's fun. And if you're not having fun with it...
Well, I'm talking about
his
primary job in the medical
other job.
I'm
a little stale with that, not, you know, not teaching and instructing and stuff like that. So now, you know, there's this part of me that lives to get out and get outside of my comfort zone at this point in time.
Well,
Growth only occurs outside your comfort zone.
I think it's so easy to get just in this kind of complacent, like every day. But I can remember like being in this really stressful situation, and actually it was my aunt, and I remember her telling me, honey, there is one constant in life, and that is change. And like she just said that to me in a moment that like it just kind of clicked. And so there's days that I have to remind myself of that. Something's changing every day, and it is. I feel burnout being at home. It's like every day, get up and, change this diaper and wash this load of laundry, and it's time to cook, the seventh snack or meal. And I think we all get.
Yeah,
we do. Yeah,
Burnout, what's that other saying? You make your bed, you gotta sleep in it. Sort of thing.
But Patrick hit a nail on the head for me, and it's like I have to force myself into moments like this because it's so hard for me just to be like, it's easy just to be like, no, I can't do that, I just have to be at home, and so I do, and I'm hoping that I'll have more opportunities, from here on out, but like I literally have to force myself to get out and make that change,
Well, one thing I can say is, at least we're not those folks that are like raiding the grocery store again for freaking toilet paper.
Yep.
Like, what the hell do those people think toilet paper's gonna do? Or at least we have the foresight to like know that obviously.
But it makes me feel,
I feel bad for those folks.
It does, and that's what I was going to say. It makes me feel so sad for those people who, you've tried to help, and they don't get it, and I have a family member of mine who, I could talk till Patrick and I could talk till we were blue in the face, and we could, we've offered them, hey, if you want to store stuff at our house, we've offered them every possible opportunity, and they just literally have their head in the sand. And you care about this person, and it makes you angry in a lot of ways, because it's like, come on, wake up and realize that.
I think that's, I guess maybe a previous video, or maybe this video, I don't know, we talked about stuff that might be going down, but that's another tough decision for folks is gonna be pruning the dead weight, and like, who do they invest in, who do they, because a lot of folks have family members that are on life-saving medications, or they're just gonna, Matt's the gun guy or whatever, I'm just gonna go to his house, and he's got enough for everybody,
my opinion on that.
You got it, so folks haven't thought about like.
So the way I put it,
and who they're pruning.
The way I put it to my family and my people, you have all this time right now, and I've instructed and I've told you the best that I can. I've tried to prepare you the best I can. If you want to be a part of what I'm doing, you have to be involved now. You can't wait till the time comes, because then every meal that you take out of my storage is taken away from my child, taken away from my family. Now, I'm hoping that at some point I am well enough off that I can help other people more. But at this point in time, I have to make the hard choice between my family and my friends and other people. If you show up to my house because I'm the gun guy, on bad day when things go wrong, and now it's different. If we're still in like normal society, I'll help you any way I can. But if shit has gone really south and things are really bad, and you show up on my doorstep, you will be treated as unfriendly. We'll put it at that way. You will not be treated as you are treated now, because your mindset has to change. You have to harden up, and you have to be tougher to survive in bad situations. Now, we're all going to need help, and we're all going to need family and friends and people to pull together, but I'm not carrying dead weight. That's the way I look at it.
Those people have to have that aha moment, you know, that makes
Otherwise,
them,
they're not invested.
But then they're gonna have it when it's too late,
When it's
you
too
know.
late.
And it's like for me, like I have my aha moment right now when Patrick told me a year ago, oh, we need to pick up this extra ammo and this extra rifle and whatnot. And I'm like, oh yeah. In my brain, I'm like, oh, I have time, you know. And now I'm like kicking myself because he was right and I was very much wrong, you know. Like, but then when it comes to that, I had that moment about.
I hope you guys got that on video. I hope that's recorded.
Realization over, you know, an extra rifle. But then when these people have this aha moment, like, oh, well, I can't go to the grocery store tomorrow because there's no food there, you know, then, boy, that's a bad situation to be in, you know, and
I've heard it said that there's only 3 days in every grocery store per community, basically. It's like 3 days of food for the entire community.
Yeah.
So, and I've heard it said that we're only 5 meals away from total chaos. There was actually a published article talking about how quickly places slip into anarchy and chaos, especially when food gets scarce. What would you do to feed your family? Like, that's a big question to ask yourself. And then whenever you ask yourself that and you're truly honest with yourself, I think you'll find that you'll do more than you think. And then I think when people realize that, they start realizing that other people who would already kill you for a couple dollars to buy drugs with are going to be even more desperate, doing even more crazy stuff and more blatantly outright things against you than they would normally, just because society's not there to protect them, right? So I think if you read these studies and you pay attention and you're only 5 meals away from total chaos in a society, I think it's just what. And here's my next question, and this is the one that's hardest for me to answer for everybody. What problem is there with storing extra food or doing like a little bit of extra preparedness? Like, okay, say you go and you spend a little extra money and you put back 6 months worth of food. Does that, like, what's the negative? I don't see the drawback to that. It's like, okay, maybe you don't have enough storage space if you live in a small apartment or something. I get that, but there's places you can hide some food away.
I almost think it's not so much that, it's that people don't comprehend, or when they're thinking about it, they try to think too big.
Yeah.
You don't go out today and buy 6 months worth of food. No. It's that old
you put a little bit back.
Analogy.
Yeah, you put a little bit back.
One bite at a time. So next time you go to the store, pick up 2 extra cans of canned goods.
Well, and I hear stuff all the time like, oh, well, y'all are just hoarders, or y'all are just this. And it's like, listen, the preppers aren't the ones that were out there buying all this toilet paper. They already had it.
Yeah.
Like, they did it before it was a problem. That's the whole point of being prepared. That's the whole point of preparedness. You don't do it whenever, like, the last thing I'm looking for is what everybody else is looking for. Mm-hmm. You know, I mean, you should have already had that stuff.
But, I will say it is, especially for myself, because I am a planner, and it is when your eyes are open to the whole world of prepping and putting back or whatever, it gets so overwhelming so fast. And I can remember like having moments just, when Patrick is like, we need this and this and this and this, for just sitting down, just sitting there and looking at him and just feeling so overwhelmed. And so I will say that the prepping class that Patrick did, I knew all of the information that he presented, but it was presented in such a way that like it made total sense and it wasn't overwhelming at all. And so, knowledge is the key, of what to do.
I think that's 2 times on video she said you were right.
Yeah.
I mean, like,
we need a tally.
I'm not going to be able to get out of this car.
I got enough dust on my dashboard.
Yeah.